Hey guys, what is up? Red Pen Mining here. How you guys all doing? Hope you're all doing really well and having a great day. In this video, I want to show you all how to build a 6600 XT mining rig. And I have all the parts here to build it into a Mining Cave frame. And thank you to Mining Cave for sponsoring this video, providing the power supply, the motherboard, and the SSD, and the mining frame, of course, and the risers that are already pre-installed. Thanks to them, you can see here, I have 4 other mining rig frames here, which I will have other videos in the future adding more GPUs, just building more mining rigs. I have a 3060 rig here, which I will show in another video, and then I have 2 other ones which I'm still planning on figuring out which GPUs to add into those mining frames, so you guys will see those later on. But in this video, we're going to talk about the 6600 XTs, going to get this rig all built, going to show you guys the Ethereum and Ravencoin hash rate. Near the end of the video, I'll show you the overclocks and everything that we can achieve on these GPUs, just in case some of you guys are wondering as well. So real fast, I have MSI Gaming X Edition 6600 XTs. These are really efficient GPUs, and we should be able to mine with them under about 80 watts for each of these GPUs. And we're going to be utilizing a Mining Cave Mining Expert 1600 watt 6 GPU power supply. Now this power supply is going to be a bit overkill for 6 of these 6600 XTs, but we will not have to worry about the power because we'll have enough capacity, and also we'll definitely have enough PCIe cables, as you guys can see here. So we'll have 6 for the PCIe risers, okay, for the risers right here, and then we'll also have another 6 for the GPUs, which come with an 8-pin, and then there's another daisy-chained 8-pin along with the 6 strands, okay? So each strand coming out of the power supply is going to go into each of the GPUs, and then the 6 dedicated PCIe for the risers, which I just showed you guys here, is going to go into here. All right, so I'll show you that when I build the rig so you guys will understand. And this is the USB for just to acknowledge into the motherboard. All right, and this is a Mining Cave motherboard here that you guys can check it out on their website, link down below. Everything that I show here, I'll have links down below, especially to the Mining Cave power supplies, the rig kit frames. They also have other rig kits such as like the 8 GPU and even the 12 GPU one. And so they have rig kits where it's already pre-applied, already pre-installed. The motherboard, the power supply, everything is already on, and they ship everything in these types of boxes already pre-installed. All you have to do is just plug in the GPUs, you know, set your HiveOS or whatever mining installation that you want to do yourself, and that's it. It's pretty easy. So thanks to Mining Cave, they have really nice setup here. And then we have a simple 120 gig SSD, and Mining Cave also provided a SATA to USB adapter, which we need this just to install the image of HiveOS onto the Kingston SSD here, which is pretty simple. I'll show you guys how to do that within this video. So let's do it, guys. First step, if you have one of these Mining Cave frames, or even just a simple mining frame that you can buy on Amazon or anywhere, there are many options out there. But the first step we are going to do in this case is we're going to install the motherboard. Okay, we're going to install it onto the mining frame first, and then I will show you guys the next step. All right, so let me put the motherboard onto here. Okay, motherboard's installed, very simple. This rig kit from Mining Cave already had the pre-applied motherboard standoff, so we just had to put the motherboard on and install the 6 screws. Mining Cave already provided all the screws necessary with the rig kit, of course, and also a power button, which we will install later on when we first turn on the whole motherboard and power supply without the GPUs, all right? So that's what we want to do real soon after we get the power supply installed. Now, some of you guys may be wondering, Red Panda, what about the CPU and RAM? Now, this is a motherboard kit from Mining Cave, and they have an option where you can have a CPU installed and the RAM as well. So this mining motherboard, you can have 12 GPUs on here if you wanted. So that is an option to make things much easier. You don't need to install it. But if you need help to install RAM and a CPU, I have many videos showing how to do that on my channel, how to build a mining rig. You guys can check those out as well. Okay, next step is to install the power supply, which is going to be very simple. We're going to install it on this side of the Mining Cave frame, and there are already holes here pre-drilled to install the power supply, just to screw it in on this side here. So you guys will see it here right now. Okay, there's the power supply. It is now installed, the Mining Cave 1600 watt. Now I want to explain all of the connections, because this is really the most important part, as the power supply is the heart of the mining rig, which is going to power all your GPUs, just everything, motherboard, everything. So first off, the 24 pin and 8 pin here, these are going to be for the motherboard, all right? So it's going to go straight into the 24 pin on the motherboard here, and then there's another 8 pin which is going to go here. Sorry, it is a 4 pin. Some motherboards do have 8 pins, but it's going to be a CPU plug right here. And if it's the 4 pin, you can simply just disconnect both of these and just use one if the motherboard only utilizes a 4 pin. So that's really easy. Next is these 3 PCIe cables here. Actually, it's like 6. So there are 6 pins here, and these are going to be for the risers, okay, to power the 6 pin on each of these risers here, where the GPUs are going to sit on these slots here, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. We're going to be plugging all 6 of these into there, and then we have another 6 strands, okay, 6 strands, each dedicated for the GPUs. So what I mean by strands is that a single strand is 2 8 pins here, okay, that's coming out of the power supply. And so there are 6 of them, okay, 6 of these cables here, which we're going to be utilizing one for each of these GPUs. So we have enough strands for 6 GPUs, but in our case here, these MSI Gaming X's only utilize one 8 pin, all right, for power. So we actually don't even need to use the other daisy chained 8 pin here off of the strand. Okay, we're just gonna have to use this 8 pin. So that will be enough, definitely enough to power all these GPUs, 1600 watt capacity. And at the end of the video, I'll show you guys the whole power consumption of the rig through my 240 volt 30 amp power distribution unit. Actually, we can also see it on my power meter here. So I'll show you guys exactly how much power this rig is going to take. And then finally, Mining Cave does have one final cable here, which we are going to utilize the Molex here and also the SATA. So the SATA power is going to be for the 120 gig SSD. And then the Molex connector here can be utilized for anything, like if you have some fans, which we do have a fan here, which Mining Cave made for me, and I'll show you guys after, once I install this, where the Molex cable is going to go to power this whole thing. It's going to power these 4 fans and help just cool the whole rig as we go, but I'll show you guys that later. Okay, let me just plug in the cables for the motherboard. Let's do it. Okay, plugged in the motherboard power and the 8 pin or 4 pin CPU, and that is good. Okay, the next step we want to do is we're going to plug in the SSD. Actually, before we plug in the SSD, we have to put HiveOS on here so that we can boot this whole machine without the GPUs, because we want to make sure the power supply and the motherboard, CPU, RAM, and SSD, of course, all works by itself before we put in the GPUs. It's just best practice to make sure it all boots into HiveOS before you put in the graphics cards. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So let me get my laptop and I'll show you guys how to put HiveOS on the SSD. Okay, so first things first, you want to download HiveOS. All right, so we're gonna go to GPU and you want to download the zip file. So just click on that and you want to save it anywhere. So we're just going to save it into my downloads folder. Going to hit save and you will see it'll start downloading. In the meantime, you'll want to register for your own HiveOS account. All right, so I'll have a link down below. Feel free to click on that. Once you click on that, you should see this where you can create an account here, where at the bottom here it says don't have an account yet, register. So you just click register and this is where you can create your new email, login, password. So do that. Next, once you got the confirmation in your email, now you can log in. All right, so use your username that you just created and log in with your password and hit login. Next, when you go into your account, you should see nothing here. This is my test account, but I do have something already. But for you guys, you'll have to go to the top right, hit the plus sign. Okay, so we'll just do a new farm here just as a test for you guys. RPM test, you guys can call it whatever you like, and hit save. And it should show up here as a new farm. And now this is where we're going to create a whole new rig. Now this is where we're going to add a worker. So before we do that, we have to install now what we just downloaded from HiveOS onto the SSD. So now, which I'll have linked down below, all the steps as well to install HiveOS, you'll want to download Balena Etcher and download the Windows install. So just download that and install it. I already have it installed on my PC here. So once you get it installed, open up the software, Balena Etcher. You're going to go flash from file. Now what you just downloaded, the HiveOS image, you're going to click on that. And now it says select target. All right, so now we have to plug in the Kingston SSD with the USB to SATA adapter. So let's just do that right now. Okay, so simply just plug them in like so. Okay, and then you're just going to plug the USB into the laptop like that. And it's going to look just like that. Okay, and now you're going to select the target in Balena Etcher, and you're going to see the SSD, and you just quickly select it and hit next, select. Now you're going to flash, and you'll probably get this message, hit yes, and it is going to burn HiveOS onto the SSD. So we're just going to wait for this. Okay, flash is complete, and now the next step is you're just going to unplug it and give it a couple seconds, and then you're going to want to plug it back in. And hopefully, yeah, it should automatically come up in Windows here, so you can see what is the contents in the SSD now. Now it says Hive at the top. Okay, so now the next step is you want to go back to your HiveOS, the website, the web GUI here. Now you just want to go to rigs. Okay, this is where we're going to add a worker now. So click on that, and we're going to click on connect existing. Okay, so once you click that, that should take you here. Then you want to go to settings. All right, now we're going to download the rig config, which is right there, okay, on the right side of your screen. It should pop up with a download location, and you're going to browse to your HiveOS SSD that you just newly created, and you want to save the rig file that says rig here, right in the open here on the Hive SSD. So hit save, and that should save into the HiveOS folder here. And so that's all you need to do. Now, what I like to do after you do that is change the rig of the name of the rig. And so it should say rig and then number sign and a bunch of numbers. You can change this anytime. It doesn't matter before or after. So I'm just going to call this 6600 XT rig. Okay, you guys can call it whatever you like. You have to scroll down to update worker, and that's it. Okay, so now we can simply just unplug this and also unplug this, because we're going to take the SSD now and plug it into the motherboard. Okay, so what we need to do now is get the SATA cable, which should already be supplied with any motherboard that you buy on the market out there. Okay, so you should see one of these in your motherboard box. So I'm simply going to connect this into here. Okay, very easy, just like that. And now you want to take this power cable from the power supply, what we talked about before, the SATA power. You want to plug that into the SSD on this side, just like that. Okay, so that's going to be very easy. Now it should power up when you power the whole system together. Okay, so for me, I'm also going to just place this SSD right here. Oh yeah, and don't forget to plug in the SSD, the SATA, other end of the SATA, into the motherboard, like so. Like this. Okay, just like that. Okay, So now we want to turn this whole thing on, and actually before you do that, you want to make sure you have your Ethernet cable in for the internet for the motherboard, because we want to make sure that this shows up in HiveOS. Okay, the next step as well is to plug in a power cable, and in my case here, since we're using the Mining Cave power supply, you can run this on 120 volt up to 250 volt power. So in my case, we're going to be using 240 volt here, and I have it plugged into my PDU already. So let's turn it on. We're just going to turn on the power switch here on the power supply. And this Mining Cave motherboard actually already has the BIOS settings for AC power loss. So it's actually going to turn on already. And it has the 4G decoding BIOS setting and also the PCIe Gen 1 setting. There's also another BIOS setting called CSM. You may need to enable that and boot off legacy and disable UEFI. Just be mindful of those settings. If you have a motherboard and you're not quite sure what settings, just check 4G decoding, PCIe Gen 1 or Gen 2. Maybe you have to do it on auto if you have issues. And CSM, UEFI, disable or enable CSM. Just try those settings. And actually a fourth one could be the AC power loss setting, where when you turn on the power supply, it will turn on the motherboard and everything as well. Okay, so it should be booting up. Let's go to back to the laptop or whatever computer you guys are using, and we're just gonna see if we can see this 6600 XT rig. So you wanna go back up here and go to Overview, and you want to see if it should boot up here. Gonna hit F5 on my keyboard just to refresh the browser. And there we go. Yes, it just booted. Okay, it looks like it said a minute ago, and that is a good sign. So that means once you see the two squares go away, when you refresh it, you should see your motherboard, your processor, your SSD, 120 gig SSD. So that is all well and good. So we've confirmed that we can see the initial motherboard, the SSD, everything of this, just the heart of the mining rig show up in HiveOS. So that is a good sign. Okay, so next step, we're gonna like update it to the latest version as well. Okay, there's probably a lot of updates, and so you just have to click on Force Update and Upgrade. Okay, and that should do it. And you also then yeah, it's gonna reboot, but then after that you can shut it down, and then the next step is we're gonna add a GPU. Okay, so let me just wait for this to reboot. We're gonna shut it down through HiveOS. You just have to go to the top here and click shut down. Okay, so after it boots back up, after we've updated HiveOS. Okay, so give me a sec, I'll be right back. Okay, this is where the fun begins, all right? This is where we can add a GPU. We're just gonna do one at a time. Normally I would do all six, but in case people are building rigs, it's best practice, again, you know, from turning on the motherboard, SSD, just the base, is adding just one graphics card, all right? So we're gonna do that, and that is gonna be easier for me. Hopefully I can do this with one hand. We're just gonna go like that, and I just have to push it down, okay? And then I'll have to screw it into the hole here on the mining cave frame. Okay, then once I do that, I'm also gonna add the power cables, the PCIe cables, all right? So what we talked about earlier, okay, so for the riser power, we just need to utilize one 6-pin, which is gonna go underneath right here, and we're gonna plug that in. Make sure you hear a click, and that feels nice and flush. Okay, next step is to plug in the PCIe power, but I need to screw in the GPU, so give me one sec. Okay, the screw is in. Next step, take one of the other PCIe strands, okay, not these ones for the riser, if you buy this power supply. You're gonna grab one and just plug in one 8-pin for the 6600 XT. So I already did that, and it plugs in just like so. Make sure, triple, quadruple check that it's all plugged in. Okay, same with the riser power at the bottom here. Make sure that's in. Okay, the next thing we need to plug in is into the motherboard, the USB cable, okay, to X1 adapter. So this X1 adapter is going to go into the motherboard over here. I'm just going to put it in the first slot, just like so, okay? Make sure that the bigger end is, if you're facing the motherboard like this, is plugged in this orientation, okay? You want to make sure, because if you do it backwards, you're going to fry the motherboard, all right? So make sure you don't put it the other way, all right? Have to make sure. Okay, and then you put the other USB end into the riser like so. And that's it. That's how you plug in the first GPU, and that is the first one. And we have 5 more to go, but before I do that, I want to turn it on and make sure I can see at least one GPU in HiveOS. Alright, so this is where we're going to plug in the power button, because since the AC power loss option was already set, so this came with a power button, power SW. Okay, on this motherboard specifically, it goes into the the bottom left 4 pins here. So the motherboard header, the power button here, we're just gonna plug it in like so. Just make sure you guys read your manual of where to plug it in. Okay, that's it. Now we're just gonna simply turn it on. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, GPU has power. Make sure you smell for no smoke. Just another, force of habit, just in case, Okay, so while that's going up, now open back your computer or wherever you're going to see your HiveOS website here, and we're just going to wait for it to show up. So we're going to have to F5 just to refresh, and just give it a minute before we refresh it. So be right back. Okay, it's been about a minute. Alright, so I'm going to hit F5 on the keyboard just to refresh the browser. And we should see a GPU. Yes, there we go. 6600 XT. That's perfect. Yep, shows up in HiveOS. No problem. Okay, so what you can do, there's multiple ways to look at this now. The next step is, sure, you can add in the next 5 GPUs, or you can set your overclocking, add in your flight sheet, all that stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in all 6 GPUs first, or the other 5, and then I will show you guys the next steps in setting up the flight sheet or adding your wallet, doing the overclocking, and getting this mining for Ravencoin and Ethereum. I want to show you guys the results and the power consumption for this whole rig, okay? So we're going to shut her down, okay? So let's do that, and then we're going to add in the rest of the GPUs. So what we did earlier, we're just going to replicate that 5 times, okay? Plugging in the power, plugging in the GPUs, screwing them in, putting in the USB cables, X1 adapter, PCIe into all of the risers, okay? And the single strands into each of the GPUs for power. So I'm just going to do that real quick because you guys saw that earlier, but I'll show you guys everything once it's all plugged in. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Alright, you guys can see we got 6 6600 XTs, and here is the whole rig built with the other 5 GPUs that I just added, and I also did some cable management, as that's something you don't have to do, but it's something, in case you're kind of OCD and you want to make sure your rig looks nice and cool. I did a bit of cable management. Could be a lot better, but I did what I could. And here are the red, you see the USB cables going into the motherboard here. That is just perfect and looks really good. There's the PCIe cabling going into each of the GPUs at the top. Okay, so each strand, there's 6 different strands like we talked about before, coming out of the 1600 watt power supply from Mining Cave. And yeah, it's working good now. Alright guys, so next step, it's not mining yet, alright? Just to let you guys know, it's not mining yet at this stage of this video. I now want to go into the computer, show you guys how to set up HiveOS here with the wallets and flight sheets, overclocking, and just get it mining within HiveOS here. This is something that I want to spend a bit more time on in case some people are wondering how to use HiveOS to get your mining rig to mine, you know, like Ethereum or Ravencoin. Oh yeah, you guys may be wondering, where is the fans, Red Panda? How come you didn't plug in the fans yet? I'm gonna do that after I show you guys the hash rates for Ethereum and Ravencoin, because I want to see the power consumption difference. Okay, so once this whole rig is mining, we will see at the wall, you know, how much watts those fans take. All right, that's something that I want to know. And yeah, we'll talk about adding the fans at the very end of this video. Okay, so I'll see you guys on the computer. Let's do HiveOS first. Alright guys, so we are in the computer and I'm going to show you guys everything from the beginning in HiveOS to basically start mining. And so from the wallets, flight sheets, overclocking, I'll show you guys all of that in this part of the video. Alright, so let's begin. So when you log into your HiveOS account, you will most likely see your farm account. Alright, so we called ours RPM test. We're going to click on that. Now you should see your worker. Alright, so our 6600 XT rig that we just built, we're going to click on that and you should see the cards here. So it's obviously, it's not mining or anything right now because we haven't done any flight sheets or overclocking or even simply adding a wallet. All right, so we're going to do that right now. Let's add the wallet. So we're going to go back to this screen here, not into the worker, but into the main screen after you click on the farm. So we're going to click on wallets. Now you should see something like this. Now, if you don't have any wallets in here, obviously, you're just going to click on add wallet and coin. So we're going to do Ethereum first. We'll do a Ravencoin one after. And this is where we're going to put in an address. So I have just a test address here, and you can give it a name if you'd like. So I'm just call it Ethereum. And we're going to hit create. Now, some of you guys may be asking, Red Panda, where do you get an Ethereum address? And there are multiple places where you can get an Ethereum address. And the ones that I'm going to recommend is obviously through like a hardware wallet. And there's Trezor and Ledger. I like both of these. I personally use Ledger products myself, like the Ledger Nano X. All right, so this is something you guys can use as it's like cold storage, right? But then there's also hot wallets, I'd say, like on your phone, like Trust Wallet. This is more like, I would say, a temporary solution if you need to trade or, you know, transfer stuff all the time. Then simply have it on your phone. But if your phone gets stolen or, you know, your phone's unlocked and someone decides to send the crypto somewhere, if you didn't have a password set, then yeah, you're pretty much hooped. But this is something that it's an option to get an Ethereum address temporary. Of course, you can set a password and all that stuff, but it's kind of like a hot wallet. There's also Zelcore for, you can download it on your phone or PC or Mac as well. All right, there's different versions to download this if you'd like. Okay, so yeah, you can get it on Apple Store, Android, Apple, or Windows, Mac, or Linux even, okay? And then finally, another solution where to get an Ethereum address is through an exchange like Coinbase or Binance or something like that. If you are planning to sell the Ethereum every day or every other day, whatever your strategy is, that's also another place you can get your exchange, your Ethereum address. All right, so anyways, we've added the wallet. Now we're gonna go to flight sheets, but we're gonna do that under this tab right here. Okay, so click on flight sheet. Now you're gonna have to click on plus add flight sheet, coin, Ethereum. Okay, you see this new add new flight sheet. So we're just do Ethereum, wallet. So this is the wallet that we just created. So you select that. Pool. Now this could be any pool that you like. Go to miningpoolstats.stream. That is a website that shows a lot of different Ethereum mining pools. I personally like Ethermine. There's also Flexpool. I like Ezil. And Hivon, they also have their own HiveOS pool, which is free with HiveOS. Now, I'm not quite sure if that's going to be better than mining on Ethermine or Ezil or, you know, that kind of thing. So choose a pool that you think that makes sense for you. Do your own research. But in this case, we're just going to do Hivon as the test here. Select your pool, the pool that you are closest to. So simply you can ping these addresses to see which latency gives you the lowest latency number, okay, in milliseconds. And that's the pool that you want to mine to. Okay, so there's in Hivon here, there's a lot of different pools. In my case, I'm going to do US West. So I'm going to hit apply. Now the miner for these 6600 XTs, I like using Team Red Miner. So we're going to click on that. And I think that's it. You don't need to select and type in anything else. You don't need to set up, you don't need to click on setup miner config. You just need to click on create the flight sheet. And that's it. Oh, you can also give it a name as well if you'd like, but that's up to you. All right, next thing we want to do now, we're going to go back to workers tab. We're going to click on the rig now, okay? Now, we're also going to set the overclocks now. So before we, set the flight sheet, we're going to click on the overclocking tab first. Click on this edit button here. Now we're going to have to put in all these numbers. Now, this is something I need to figure out on my own real fast. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the numbers that I'm going to do for all 6 of my GPUs. And you can see here that if you just put it as 1, it will apply to all the GPUs. So since I have all the same GPUs, these overclocks will be applied to all of them. Now, if you wanted to do separate overclocks on each GPU, you just need to hit spacebar for a space, and then you'll see that it's selected the second GPU. I know it says GPU 1 here, but there's also GPU 0, so that'll be GPU 1, and then you know what I mean. Anyways, yeah, you can set the numbers here if you'd like, but in our case, I'm just going to do it all here. It will be applied to all. So we just need to hit save. It's going to be applied and go back to overview. And you should see all the overclocks applied here. All right, so that's great. Now we need to apply the flight sheet. So we're going to go to the flight sheet tab. So the one we just created, we just need to hit this flight sheet button. All right, so we're going to hit that flight button and it's going to go to it now. So give it, a couple minutes and it should start mining. All right, so we're going to let this go for a couple minutes. Okay, so yeah, it's been a couple minutes here. Miner uptime about 1.5 minutes. So it takes a little bit to ramp up. And you can see here, generally, we're getting 31, 32 mega hash. Some of the GPUs are getting 29. This one's getting 29. So Silicon Lottery. I do have one of these 6600 XTs that are, it just doesn't do well. So the overclocks that I have here, just being mindful for all of you, and you can click this overclock tab button on the right here. This is kind of like just a general overclocking numbers that I've used personally. So if this doesn't work for you, just, you can add up, higher numbers here, just like in increments of 5. And so if you have issues of where your rig is freezing or restarting all the time, then you simply just have to maybe change the core voltage and the memory voltage and maybe the memory clock. Maybe you have to go higher, maybe you have to go lower, most likely lower if it's too high, the voltage as well. So just play around with these numbers if your rig seems to be unstable. Okay. And here I am, I'm remoted into the rig as well. Okay, you guys can do this as well just to see the hash rates like this. Yeah, I definitely have one that's not doing too hot. So I'm going to have to figure that out later. But anyways, this is generally, you can see the hash rates here on this rig. It's mining Ethereum just perfect now. It says 269 watts in the software. You can hit this refresh button, 276 now. So actually, let's go back outside and see what it's like at the wall. Okay, the rig is taking 423 watts right now at the wall, mining, and there it is. 423 watts, all right, on a 1600 watt power supply. So that is extremely overkill, all right? So alternative power supplies that you could make, instead of buying a mining cave power supply, not saying that it's not good to have a power supply like this, but it is good to have overcapacity just in case you want to, maybe change out the GPUs in the future. Not that you should anyway. You're probably going to be stuck with these for a couple years, but hey, it's not a problem at all. 400 watts on a 1600 watt power supply. But yeah, anyways, you guys can see that that's going good. Let's see here on my 240 volt PDU, it's taking 1.8 amps. And that will equate to about 423 watts at the wall. All right, guys, so that's good. I want to turn it off and add the fans just so we can see how much watts more this adds. So we're at like 423. Let's see how much these fans add. Be right back. Okay, looks like we've added another, I'd say 7 watts. So we're at a 430 watts now from 423. So there you go. These 4 120 mil fans from Mining Cave that they provided only adds on like another 7 or 8 watts at the wall. to, yeah, there's a lot of airflow now. One thing I could probably do is lower the fans on the GPUs, because right now, where I'm mining in my garage, these cards are quite cool. I guess I just started, but I mean, yeah, I could probably lower these down to like maybe just auto and keep them at like very low fan speed, as this rig is going to be pretty cool as is. So, alright guys, there you go. That's the difference in the power consumption. Alright, so now that we figured out how to mine Ethereum on this rig, let's figure out how to mine Ravencoin. Alright, so I'll see you in the computer. We're going to do the exact same thing. And yeah, I'll show you guys the hash rates and the power consumption for Ravencoin. Be right back. Alright, so let's do Ravencoin, my friends. So we're going to go back out to our farm. And we need to add a wallet. Okay, Ravencoin wallet. So go to the wallets tab. And we're going to go click on add wallet, the top, kind of the middle right here. And we're going to type in, oh, looks like Raven's right there already. Address, put in your Raven address and give it any name that you'd like. Hit create. Now, again, same thing. Some of you guys may be asking, Red Panda, where do you find a Ravencoin address? And there's multiple places, like using a Ledger Nano, Ledger Nano X, or Ledger Nano S, or Trust Wallet. Trust Wallet also has Ravencoin. One of my favorites to use for a Ravencoin wallet is Zelcore. Okay, Zelcore also has Ravencoin wallet as well. And then again, alternatively, just like, you know, Ethereum, you can get a Ravencoin address from an exchange as well. Okay, so whatever exchange, wherever you're from, there's also Ravencoin as well. Most of the top exchanges has it if you decide to sell or trade or whatever like that. Okay, so there you go, Ravencoin's in there. Now we need to create a flight sheet. We're gonna go to flight sheet tab. Coin, Raven, wallet. We just created the Ravencoin wallet pool. There are many Ravencoin pools. We're going to do 2 miners for this example. And I'm in US here, which is close by. And miner, all right, we're going to use, again, Team Red Miner, as that's my favorite. Going to hit create flight sheet. And there you go. It's created. So we're going to go back to workers tab, the top left here. And going to go back to your worker. Okay, click on the worker. Now we're going to apply the flight sheet. Okay, so go to the flight sheet tab within that worker and click on the flight button right here. Okay, this one, and you'll see the config change, and then we should see it. It'll take a couple minutes to ramp up and start mining Ravencoin. So we'll give it a couple minutes. Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Looks like it's mining now, but I'm only getting about 14 mega hash. Now, we're using the Ethereum overclocks here, so we have to change the overclocks on these 6600 XTs. Now, let's do it live here, and we'll see if it changes. So we're going to hit the all button here. This button over here will already bring up the overclock tab here. You could go to the overclocking tab over here as well and do what we did before. But, you know, we can also do it this way as well. Click this and this will come up. So let me quickly change all of these. And there we go. I changed it all here. You guys can copy these settings. Again, same thing. It could be Silicon Lottery. You may need to change these in increments of 5 in case your rig starts crashing. You may need to up the voltage, up all of these numbers. You may need to lower the overclock. You may need to maybe lower or go higher on the core clock. Again, these are all numbers you guys will need to play with, but try these out. Let me know down below. We're going to hit save. Okay, and we should see it slowly change here. It's going to take a couple minutes. We'll be right back. Okay, so I had an issue, and not all the cards were getting above, maybe some of them were getting 10 mega hash, some were getting like 15. And I had to change the overclocks. So I'll show you guys here what I did. And just like I explained, you know, Silicon Lottery, I had to boost up the core voltage and also the memory voltage. Also the memory controller voltage up like another 20 points. So yeah, it looks like it's behaving much better now, except I do have this one GPU, which it's like capped at like 14 mega hash. Just like on Ethereum, this one was only getting like 28 or 29 for some reason. So anyways, though, look at this, getting about 17.5 for the rest of the GPUs, getting about 16 on this one. So I can edit these specific GPUs. If I'm having issues, I can change the overclocks on the GPU specifically. If you guys want, all you gotta do is click on the overclock edit button on the right of the GPU. You can see that there's 6 of them here, so you can individually change the overclocks if you guys want on these GPUs. Okay, so there you go. You're mining Ravencoin. Now I want to see the power consumption at the wall. It shows 334 here in the software, but let's go see what it's at the wall. Okay, there we go. We are at about 505 watts at the wall. So we were mining Ethereum at about 430 watts. Okay, so it looks like we've added another 70 watts or so from Ethereum to Ravencoin. And yeah, that seems to be pretty good. That's really good, guys. Okay, well, there we go, guys. That is the 6600 XT mining rig, 6 of these GPUs, and I showed you guys how to build the rig, how to mine Ethereum, and also mine Ravencoin as well. All right, so this is generally a cheap GPU mining rig to build as of right now, and I say generally because as of recording this video, I mean, as you guys know, buying graphics cards or any mining hardware right now is utterly expensive. So in terms of other stuff that's out there, this is considered cheap. So like these GPUs, for example, the MSI Gaming X's, I was able to pick up for about 500 bucks. But, you know, not many people, depending where you live, these may not be 500 bucks. They could be a lot more than that. But, you know, overall, comparing these GPUs to other GPUs, these are extremely efficient for mining Ethereum and Ravencoin. And there's also other coins that these GPUs can do well on as well. But yeah, this is awesome, guys. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts of this whole build. And thank you so much to Mining Cave for providing the frame and the power supplies and the risers and the motherboard SSD power supply, just everything to build these mining rigs. And stay tuned. I have more mining rigs to build. Let me know down below if there's anything else that I've missed in this video, maybe that I didn't explain more. Let me know. I want to make these types of videos better as I do more of these rig builds. Okay, so your thoughts and opinions will help me a lot, but let me know if also this video has helped you guys, anyone out there that's watching this. And yeah, so thank you guys so much. Links down below to everything that I talked about, including where to buy these rig kits, the frames and everything from Mining Cave down below, and also link down below for HiveOS. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. Have a good one, and peace out.